Hi, my name is Ajay, and today we're going to take a look at how we can add a new project in Pandastack. So we basically have to go to Project section, click on this Add New Project, and before you continue, if you're not already connected to GitHub, you can click on this button and it will redirect you to GitHub so that you can connect your repository over here. So basically deploying a project in Pandastack means either you can run as a static website or you can run as a container also. In any case. So let's say I have a Next.js repository. I'll choose this one. So from here, this toggle, basically you can switch between running as a container and a static website. You select your branch from which you want to auto-deploy. Most of the things will be auto-configured, but if you still want to change, you can change. You can change base directories, auto-deploy. This feature is coming soon. And this is your build command. So it is pre-configured based on the Next.js repository that we selected. And this is the build path. So it's going to be out in this case. You can add additional number of environment variables, or you can add a file also that contains your environment variables. And there are a predefined set of environment variables that you can use. So for that, you go to Static Website and Predefined env variables. These are used within the application in the back end so that you can change the requirement, which node version you want to change, you want to use, which yarn version you want to use, these types of things. So you can use any one of them. If you have an application that requires some Go version package, you can select Go version over there and put the version number over there, and that will auto-detect. So we don't have any environment variable. If you want to pass any secret, you can put the file name over here and the secrets that you want to pass. Click on the Deploy button and it will start deploying. You will see that the deployment has actually started. And these are the details. You can click on this button after the deployment is successful to visit your website. You can pause the cache after each deployment if you want. And you can attach a custom domain. By default, you will get a pandastack.app domain, but if you want to change to something else or your own domain, you can always use custom domain. It will actually redirect to this monitoring page, on which you can enable monitoring like uptime check, how many requests are receiving, status code, these types of things. And over here, this will redirect to analytics page. If you enable analytics, that means it will capture the user traffic and anything else that generally all the analytics tools capture. And these are the settings. Whatever we did while we deployed, these are placed over here. And events, redirect and redirect rewrite if you want to add. For example, if you want to redirect /, that means the root path of the URL to API 2. Now API 2 should actually exist to make it work. Otherwise, of course, it will not work. And the same case that if you want to rewrite from / to / API 2, then you can use that. And if you want to add headers, you can add any number of headers over here. And that will get added. Let's see the logs. So by clicking on this button, you can actually see the live streaming of the logs, if the build is in progress or how it is behaving. And since it's not a container-based application, the build logs will work. Application log will not work. So we identified that the out directory, which is the build directory build path directory that exists, and the build upload completed. And it says the status successful. And over here you will see if it is live or not. We cannot roll back because this is the only version that we have. So if there is more than one version, and whichever is successful, we can successfully roll back to that. That rollback only works on the previous versions, and that should be successful. And you can deploy by manually from this one or specific commit, which it will fetch automatically. And if you want to push to specific commit, you can do. Then click on this website, this link, and it will show that this is successfully deployed. If you want to delete, you can go to Setting and Delete Project. If you want to pause the project, it will stop receiving the traffic. You can click on this button and delete. Now let's take a look at a website which runs on container. So I have a Node.js application. I'll use this one. I toggle this, select the branch, select the runtime that you want to use. So for me, it's a Node.js website. So I'll use this one. Otherwise, it's going to be Python, it's going to be Golang, it's going to be Docker. So based on what you choose as a runtime, this will change the scenarios. By default, everything is going to be deployed in US region, but you can change EU region or ACR region auto-deploy. That means as soon as you git push to git commit and git push to GitHub, it will automatically deploy that. This is build command. You can skip that if you do not have any build command. And this is the entry point of your application. So, by default, when a container website runs, it runs on port 99999, 4 times 9. And if your application runs on port 9999, you can skip this environment variable. You can remove this environment variable. But if your application runs on any other port, like 3000, 3001, 8081, 8080, something else, then 9999, it means that you have to define that port over here. So for example, this application of mine that gets deployed, it runs on port 18000. So I have to specifically mention that this application is going to be deployed on port 18000. And this is where the database connection as a private database connection works. That means you created any database over here in this section will be listed over here for your organization itself, and you can privately connect that without any external expose of database. And these are the tiers. So, free tier is only available once per organization, even if you are a free or paid member. And rest of the tiers are available for paid members only. You can select different tiers based on the usage that you understand that this is a good fit for my application. Then you can choose that. This is auto-scaling. You can define any number of auto-scaling, starting from 1 to maybe 1000. It will create that number of ports in the back end, and by default, this is going to be disabled. And if you want to attach any additional disk up to 5 GB, that is supported. You want to change health check, that is also supported. Click on Deploy button, and it will start streaming the logs in a couple of seconds. Same structure is available, but in the settings, you will see that this is a totally different view than static website. And other than this, the redirect rewrite headers, these features are also available in the container deployment section. Let's see the logs. So these are running. By default, it picked up everything that we needed to have. And now it's doing the npm install, I guess. Let's see, yeah. It's also auto-scrolling down. It's enabled. Other than this, there is a good view that how many successful and how many total deployments are there for this project itself. How many are successful and how many have failed, so that you can get a bird's eye view of how the application is behaving. Now, since this runs in a container, you can see that the Docker image build is successful and the pushing of the Docker image is also successful. Now, we must have already deployed that, but it's doing some health check in the back end, so that we can actually mark this application as a successful. Unless the application is successfully deployed, this will not mark that application healthy. And in the end, if that is successful, yes, it will say that your application is live at this point, endpoint, and it may take a couple of seconds to actually enable the DNS records and everything in the back end. And let's see if it works. It does. It's a very small application though. And you can actually see, since this is a container application, you can actually see the application logs of that container. So by default, it runs on port 18,000, so that's what we have defined over there. Yeah, that's all that are related to projects. Thank you very much.